Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday Fun Day. Welcome to the Truth Live Shenanigans, the live streaming podcast. Do not adjust your internet. Do not adjust your set. We are coming to you live from Canada. It's just RoB'b'RoK.
And Joz'Eh here. It's not just, it's us.
It's us. So as you may know, the show's been taking a short break as we prepare to bring you an incredible third season starting next Sunday, September 12th.
We thought it would be great this week if RoB'b'RoK and I shared with you some of our favorite segments from A Wicked Season 2.
When we started the show a little over a year ago, we had no idea how much the show would take off or how many of you would stick around with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've come a long way from a few friends frustrated with the Trump era and the coronavirus. During our second season, we've had amazing, wonderful guests like former Olympian Yvonne Wade. Yvonne Wade, thank you. Dr. Alain Simard, Rethink Resource CEO Shane Harker, reporter Jamie Perez, our collaborator and friend and fellow podcaster Micah Payne, sports reporter and author Jeff Perlman, and many others have just graced us in our growing podcast with their stories. We've prepared just a few clips featuring these guests for your enjoyment today.
Been an incredible season. We can't wait to share it with you. All right, with the rise in COVID variants and brutal fourth wave, yet again, we thought it would be wonderful for everyone to reflect on the words of Dr. Alain Simard, faculty and researcher at NOSM, which is Northern Ontario School of Medicine. Roll clip.
Now, it's time for another installment of the COVID. There's plenty of lies and misinformation of coronavirus, so Truth Live Shenanigans brings you the truth. Stories directly from the people that lived it, frontline workers and survivors. This is the COVID Chronicles. All right, and today we have immunologist Dr. Alain Simard here.
Hello.
Excellent.
Hello.
All right.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonsoir.
Did I say your name right? I practiced your name very much. I tried to get it, made sure I got it.
I've been called alien. I've been called. I've actually been called because the "ang" sound Alain is very hard, and because I worked in Phoenix, Arizona for 4 years, and on the phone, but I remember this one day. There was a lady that I was working with was from Iran, and she kept on answering the phone and getting mad and hanging up. And I was working in the lab, and I was like, okay, what's going on, right? And then she's like, someone's always calling for Allah. I think they're just pulling a prank on me.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
right? And so basically, yeah, you can call me. You can call me Rob if you want, and I'll be okay.
Rob. Well, speaking of Rob, why don't you introduce Dr. Alain Simard to the audience here?
Absolutely. We're very happy to have Alain here with us this evening. Alain is an associate professor in the Medical Sciences Division at the Northern Ontario School of Medicine in Sudbury, Ontario. He's a core faculty member of the Biomolecular Sciences graduate program at Laurentian University. Holds a cross appointment with the chemistry and biochemistry departments of Laurentian University, is an adjunct professor in the chemistry biochemistry department of Université de Moncton, and as far as qualifications and training, holds a BSc in biochemistry, a master's in chemistry from Laurentian University, my alma mater. He has a PhD in endocrinology from Université de Laval in Quebec. Postdoctoral fellowship in neurochemistry from Neurochemistry Neurological Institute in Phoenix, Arizona, as well as developmental neurobiology from the Salk Institute for Biological Studies in San Diego, California.
Ooh.
So Alain's areas of expertise are immunology, neuroimmunology, immune regulation, myeloid cells, neurodegenerative diseases, inflammatory diseases, cholinergic systems.
So like everything.
Man,
so
and
just
animal
everything.
models of disease.
Right? He knows everything
very
about
smart.
immunology. He is the best.
So on top of all this, he is a devoted family man, an avid cyclist, and overall just a really nice person. So Alain, welcome to the show. Thank you for
Aw.
joining us.
Thank you so much for joining
My
us.
pleasure.
Thank you, Elaine.
So now,
Great
is there anything that you can tell our audience about yourself that we may not be able to Google about you?
Because there's a lot to Google
Oh boy,
apparently.
probably a lot. Yeah, I mean, even though it was a long list that you just gave, it all sums up to the one thing, which is a science nerd, I could say. Um, but stuff that you probably won't find out. If you search up my name, you'll see quite a few different arrondissements that are pretty prominent in the province of Quebec. But I guess one thing that you probably wouldn't know is that my ambition, I guess you could say, and at least I think I have talent, but others people could be the judge in music. I play piano my life, and the last couple of years I'll get out of the way, but that's an electric cello that I'm trying to learn how to play.
Wow, look at you.
Nice.
So it's a lot of
A
fun.
musician.
Electric
Nice.
Very
cello.
nice. Very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Is it hard?
So I
My
have a-
wife's trying to learn how to do a violin. She's taking violin lessons. Is it difficult?
Ooh.
I know
It's
violin.
so I started off. I rented a violin at first. 'Cause it wasn't too sure which one I wanted to do. But for me, I actually found it too hard. I guess for the fingers being too close, and I just couldn't get the hang of it.
Yeah.
So for me, the cello, I find it a bit more easy. It's still challenging though. It's not like piano where piano, as long as you hit the right note, then you're fine. In the cello, if you're a millimeter or two off, then you're off tune. So you have to be careful.
So I have a quick question. So I know I'm hoping you heard our quick fire earlier, right? Now, basically, I believe Trump is directly responsible for all the lives, not all, but majority of the lives lost, because it could have been a lot lower. But what are your thoughts? Him choosing not to listen to the experts, like for example, if Trudeau was you were the leading expert, and Trudeau said, "I'm not going to listen to you and do what I want to do." I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, do you want the long answer or the short answer?
Somewhere in between. Somewhere in between.
Well, I'll try to be politically correct. Let's say that
No,
if
no,
you
go
count
ahead.
out
You don't need to be
all the
silly.
strikes that this man has done in his term as president of the United States, I think he'd have enough strikes for a full season of a baseball team.
Full season.
To me, it's just mind-boggling. I can't even begin to understand, how or where this guy come from. Basically, it's like it just doesn't make any sense, and it makes me both angry and sad at the same time. That someone could have such disregard for life, because his decisions are, as you pointed out, are directly, in my opinion, responsible for the more than 500,000 deaths that have occurred in the United States. These are all people that obviously not all of them, but a lot of them would still be with their loved ones and families had the proper decisions been made earlier on. Had he been willing to forget about his ego and just listen to the advice of the experts around him.
The thing that frustrated me about that is that he boasted about the fact that he didn't listen to his advisor. I mean, when you look at, like I say, 55,000, the next closest is Brazil at 200 and like I think 67 or 87,000, something like that. I mean, that's the next closest country in the world. Almost more than double than the next closest country. And not to mention, they're like double the next closest country to them. So we're like triple or more than triple this third place. I mean, that's horrible. And I don't know. It just angers me.
It's what happens when you mix power and ignorance.
Yeah.
He was at the time for 4 years probably the most powerful political figure in the world. He browbeats everyone in his White House, in his cabinet, so they were afraid, to call him out for stuff. But also, he is insanely stupid, but he loves himself. And so people like that, they're very toxic because you can never convince them that they're wrong. They're always right. Even though you show them mounds and mounds of evidence, there's nothing you could say to them that's going to convince them that they are wrong. Unless you lick their ass a little bit, you got to stroke the ego a little bit. But even then, it's like he's not really going to believe you because there's no advantage to him to do so.
Yep.
Mhm.
Did you have another question, Robbie? I'm sorry, I kind of jumped in there.
No, I just, well, I do have several questions for Alain, but I guess what I would like to ask is for those people who still refuse to believe that COVID is little more than a super flu, they really don't buy into the severity or the basics that you can do, like wear a mask to help protect your fellow citizens. What do you have to say about that, given that we're a year into it? This isn't a new message, but people who are still adhering to that belief structure, talk to me. Talk to them.
Again, that's another example where it's hard to comprehend. I mean, the evidence is so clearly out there, and the whole idea that this is just another flu or a severe flu and it doesn't cause more deaths. I mean, just look at the numbers. I think that within a few months, the U.S. passed the number of deaths that you normally have from the flu in an entire year, and this is taking into account the fact that a lot of places, well, not so much in the States, but a lot of places in the world were under lockdown, right? So we were trying to protect and still had, more deaths in a few months than an entire year. No, it's not. It's not just another flu. And then the whole mask, the refusal to wear masks. Again, I think that comes from ignorance. And yeah, okay, I'll admit that masks are not perfect. They're not
No, certainly.
foolproof against the virus, right?
Right.
But they definitely do offer a significant protection. And it's only I guess I can say it's the kind thing to do. And you're not wearing a mask to protect yourself. You're actually wearing it to protect others, mostly. So you're doing this as a service to others and as a sign of respect that you value other people's lives. So to me, again, it's just not something that that I can understand as why there's such a refusal and such a surprising number of people that refuse to wear the mask.
I remember after the SARS outbreak in China, a lot of the Chinese people or Asian countries were wearing masks even after the outbreak had ended, and it turned into like a stereotype and a joke to see people on planes. And, it was actually very rude and frustrating. But, it turns out that is what helped control am I right? That helped control the virus in those countries because they were already practicing some of those things beforehand.
Yeah, it certainly did help. And I have a feeling that, well, hopefully over time, once we're out of this pandemic, that those stereotypes and the instinct of laughing at others for having continued to wear masks as a way of protection, that at least now maybe we'll see it in a different way, and that I wouldn't be surprised if in both our countries if some people still do wear masks when they go out in public afterwards, because you do have some that are very aware of the risks, and they're going to want to continue protecting you, doing the best that they can, right?
Real quick, got some comments online, and then I'll go to your question, Lizzie.
But it wasn't a question. I was just going to say I almost feel naked if I'm outside and I don't have it on. Like I have it around my neck and I forget to pull it up real quick. I'm like, what is that air? What is that?
Yeah,
Oh, put your
I
mask
got the same way. I was noticing that recently, actually. Alex Hung says, I think people here in the U.S. are very selfish and individualistic. Only think about themselves versus the community.
It's true. It's true.
Olivia says, can you speak on long COVID? I heard of prolonged loss of taste, spells, abnormal periods, chronic pain. Also, Paul Moose says common sense eludes many. But yeah, can you speak on that? I guess long COVID. Do you know anything about that? I know you're not a doctor,
Uh,
a medical doctor.
a bit. I mean, there's still a lot that we don't know because, believe it or not, it's this virus has only been with us for a year, and research can take quite a long time to allow us to understand what exactly is going on. And it's an interesting question because we're actually submitting a grant as a group within the next month to look at biomarkers of patients that had severe, were admitted to hospital with severe COVID, and then when they are discharged, that we could look at biomarkers and then try and correlate that to those that do end up getting long COVID. But we're still at the point of trying to understand what the risk factors are. We don't have a clear picture of that. All we know is that it definitely is a real thing where people will suffer from a whole list, and there are quite a few symptoms that people can be afflicted with for a very long time, and it can be quite debilitating. It can completely change your life, and we just don't have a completely or a good grasp of understanding what exactly is going on.
Lizzie?
I wanted to just quickly comment on one of our viewers, Paul. He mentioned the common sense factor or element or lack thereof. And I think that plays a large part into why people are so adamant about not wearing masks. They don't understand, which most of us assume is just basic common sense, but they don't really understand the idea of how much fluid we emit from unknowingly it from our mouths, from our nose, even sometimes from our eyes, but we're not wearing masks over our eyes. But I mean, if you think about it and you go out and we're not masked, you're talking to someone, you can see the saliva coming from your mouth, you can see the spit kind of spraying. A lot of people sneeze and don't cover their mouths, don't cover their nose, they're sniffling, and that could be a spread of the virus. If you put a mask on, you are controlling that. All of that's going inward. It's staying over here. It's all up in here. And it's not getting on Rob. It's not getting on Gianni. It's not getting on Ella or Neo. And I don't think people take the time to think about that. Like Alex said, we're just so headstrong in the idea that the government is making us do something. And so now everyone wants to have a fit. And I'm like, asking you to wear a mask is one of the most basic and easiest things you can do. And yet we have all these people that are just losing their minds. So that makes me sad, and that makes me want to, strangle folk. But then they probably have COVID, so I can't even do that.
That
Yeah,
reminds me.
it's
What you said reminded me of something. So, like, I was I was watching TikTok, and Neil deGrasse Tyson said, certain particular states in the country loosening their restrictions early is equivalent to having a designated place to pee in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like when you're talking like you got all those people, those non-maskers just spraying all over the place. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just easy.
it also exposed how infrequently, at least here in America, how infrequently people wash their hands. You got it, Rob. How people normally were not washing their hands before the pandemic. And I'm like, who raised you? I can't even remember a day when I left home and then you come back to the house where it doesn't matter if you just went outside to throw a bucket out of water. You come back in the house and the first thing my mom would scream, did you wash your hands? Did you wash your hands? And even if, she
Mom
told
was
me
like,
to wash my hands an hour before, you better go wash your hands before you come into my kitchen, before you touch that food, before you do anything. So I'm just like, okay, maybe
Yeah.
because I had a mother from the South, but I mean, we were constantly told to wash our hands. And so now it's just like, it's almost an obsession, if you will, even pre-COVID.
Yeah.
But I was really taken aback by the number of people who were just like, dang, I got to wash my hands. My hands are dry. What? Well, what were you doing before? Or ladies out there, pay attention when we get out of this lockdown and you go back to a public bathroom. When you're in the stall listening to who's coming and going, pay attention to the number of ladies who don't wash their hands.
Oh, it's a lot. My wife says
You'll
there's
be
a lot. My
oh
wife
my
tells
God.
me all the time.
Oh, Gianni,
Oh
it is
my
Ew.
God.
when I worked, when
I
I was,
gotta check that out.
in this building, and we would go to the bathroom, and I'm in the stall handling my business. You could hear people coming, and they come in, use the bathroom, flush the toilet, go out. You never
Yeah,
hear
my
the
wife
water
tells me
turn
all the
on.
time. She's like, "This woman left it all the time." It's so constant. Yanni, did you have a question?
COVID running around. That's why we got all this.
Yes. My question was, so the thoughts, do you have any thoughts on the origin? I know that this was probably said already, and we spoke about this here on the show, but thoughts on the origin of the outbreak of the coronavirus and like who it came from or where it came from.
Well, thoughts in terms of like where the virus originated from, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that
I
what
mean
you're
there were some discrepancies, or there were conspiracy theories stating that it was came from a lab in China versus wet market in China. Yeah, I think that's what she's referring.
Versus the government,
Yeah.
Tons of stuff.
Well, those are from as far as I know, those are all mostly all conspiracy theories. There have been some reports tracing it back to different. We're pretty sure that it came from animals at one point. But exactly to point the exact source, the original source, I don't know if we'll ever really find that out. But it would make sense if that's the case, because a lot of our of the diseases and the pandemics that we've had in the past, that's where they came from, right? So viruses, can be harmless to humans for a while, but go from one animal to the other. Then at one point they gain a mutation, and boom, it can jump to humans. And that's kind of like part of the normal life cycle for viruses. So, again, it comes down to, it brings up a lot of questions, right, in terms of sanitary measures and making sure that that you take the necessary precautions, and I guess what happens, in the examples, like where it probably started spreading, it might be in one of those markets, right? Because then you're handling a lot of fresh, well, dead animals or fresh that, and people can easily get contaminated.
And they would stacking like animals on top of each other. So if they would
Live animals.
live
Yeah.
animals, and they were
Yeah.
right. And so if somebody urinates below them or
That's so
poops below them,
disturbing.
then it falls on one of the other animals. They get sick, and then so they were all passing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a big lesson to be learned there. Again, right? So, but that's what my thoughts are. Can we say for sure exactly where it came from? I don't think so.
Yeah. So I have a question, since you mentioned mutations, and we're running out of time, unfortunately. But so there are a ton of new variants out there, and I understand one of them is resistant to the Pfizer Moderna vaccines, and another one is now deadlier, more contagious than the others, but the vaccine does work with that one apparently, right? So are we like one variant away from being quarantined again, or even with the vaccines?
It's entirely a possibility, right? I wish I had a crystal ball to know for sure, but at the rate, there are more than just a few variants that are going around right now, and there's probably quite a few more that occurred. It's just that it didn't benefit the virus, so it never became predominant, because that's the way it works. A virus will gain a mutation, and it can either make it easy, give an advantage to that new variant, so that it'll be easier for it to go from human to human, for example, and then that virus will become predominant. And some mutations, though, will do the opposite, and then we just never hear of those because the virus doesn't spread. So yes, it's entirely possible that one of these new variants can gain another mutation, and then it can be even more problematic. What we do know is that some of them, and most of them, are more contagious, up to twice as contagious. And there are some really interesting studies going on, and some of them from data here or in Toronto, where at one point we had a mixture of I guess version 1.0 of COVID, and then the UK variant. and they looked at our lockdown measures on average and saw that it worked for version 1, where the numbers of new infections for that original virus were going down, but for the UK it was going up. So that showed us that the measures that were working for the first virus were no longer working for the variant, right? So that makes it more challenging, because all of a sudden you have to come up to the reality of acknowledging that we'll need stricter lockdown measures if we want to keep check, right? Because we're not at the point right now where we're not even close to reaching herd immunity for the vaccines. So that's problematic until we get to that point. And then later on, who knows? Yes, if they, one of them is somewhat resistant, it's not at the point where the vaccines no longer work, but it could get worse, and we just don't know if it will.
And again, people don't have an understanding of how viruses work either. Like pre-pandemic, I get a flu shot every year. And at times I've gotten a different flu shot because the virus mutates and changes. So there's a different strain of flu. But you have the conspiracy theorists, well, see, that just goes to show you they're pumping a new drug into your system. You're just a guinea pig, blah, blah. Like, do you not understand? And to me, because I am no scientist, I am no doctor, I leave that all up to you all. However, there has to be a basic level of understanding. And it's not that far-fetched to believe or to know that because of the environment, viruses change. The same flu that we have in 2021 is not the same flu that we had in 2010. Not the same flu that we had 5 years ago. But a lot of people don't understand that. So that's going to make them more resistant. Like for this new variant, if it comes, as a third wave, if you will, I think that's going to make people more resistant and just say, F it. Like they're all full of shit. They're just feeding us, a bunch of lies. So I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm not going to get a vaccine. I'm not going to wear a mask and, whatever. And I'm just like, how do you not understand basic stuff?
I do have one important question, because we are talking about the vaccines, and this was a more recent conversation that I had with Alain and his wife, respectively. But just as far as people having more severe reactions after they get the vaccine, or when they get the vaccine, could you talk to us a little bit about the findings you're discovering in that area?
Yeah, so having more severe reactions due to the vaccine itself is, in a way, it's normal, because that's how the immune system works. So the first time that you're infected, whether it's the virus or the vaccine, it takes up to 2 weeks for your immune system to build a proper immune response, and even then, it's going to be limited. And that's why we need a second shot in many vaccines. We need that booster, so that what that does, it'll give that boost to your immune system to react more appropriately and a lot more quickly. And essentially what we're building there is what we call memory, so immune memory. So we have these cells that are going to live pretty much, not necessarily forever, but for a very long time, and they're going to be ready. They're already going to be on the lookout, and they'll react much more quickly. So if we have had reports of people with getting more symptoms from that second shot. And it also has to do with the way that these new vaccines work. They're quite different than the traditional vaccines that we've had in the past with this mRNA technology. And what it does is it mimics more what the virus will actually do, but it's not the virus. You can't get the infection, right? You're not going to get the disease from the vaccine, but it'll mimic much more efficiently the immune response that we normally have. So it's a lot more powerful, and you do get that second more powerful response, and you'll get things like fever, because whenever you have a fever, whether it's to the flu or anything else, it's not the virus that's giving you fever, it's your own immune system, it's your defense mechanism. So you have to look at it that way, and that's essentially what's happening. And there are also some indications of people that get severe fever after the first shot, and what people are suspecting, and they're studying this now, and I suspect that it'll be the case, is that those are likely people that were infected with the virus beforehand without knowing about it.
They had antibodies.
Yeah, exactly. So it's acting kind of like that second booster shot, even though it's your first vaccine.
That makes
And
sense.
so this
That
is a
totally
hypothesis
makes
at this
sense.
point. Yeah, but to me, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Last very quick question. This
Make it very
vaccine,
quick.
is this something that we're going to have to take annually every year, or
That's a
how
good question.
long will it be effective for us?
Yeah.
Good question.
So that we don't fully know yet. We have some indications, that the immune response seems to be, so far it's continuing, and it can last at least we're at like 6 or 8 months at this point. So time will tell exactly how long it lasts. If we base ourselves on past coronaviruses, because this is not the first coronavirus that we have to deal with, typically our immune response goes away for the other ones was about a year, right? So there is a likelihood that you might
An
need to get
annual
a booster
booster.
shot on a yearly basis. And then the other thing that we have to consider are the variants. And if you do have a new variant that pops up and that it does resist a past vaccine, then we'd have to get a new vaccine essentially.
Yep.
The good news though is that with this new technology, we'll be able to develop some new vaccines much more quickly than past vaccines. So it should be a very powerful tool to help us.
I'm gonna get to
Very
these
good.
comments online real quick before we let you go. So Sherry Blaine Priest says, totally agree, and I will be wearing a mask always going forward. Jacqueline Robinson pointed out we haven't had much of a flu season this year. Alice Hung says, same here. Pre-COVID, I worked in DC and took public transportation. Let's see. Jacqueline Robinson said, the lack of common sense is bad enough, but I'm having a hard time with the deliberate cruelty and violence just because someone is asked to wear a mask. In your from your earlier discussion about women in the bathrooms, Joz'Eh says women are disgusting.
We
Taima
are.
says
We
lotion
are.
lotion is a great thing. There are so many women at work that didn't wash their hands. It was disgusting.
It's so bad.
Olivia says I will wear a mask in public, social distance, and not participate in large events post-pandemic. Paulette Bertrand said, I will do the same and was one of the first ones to wear a mask, respect distance, wash hands, etc. Yep. And Paul Moose says, new way of life. I'm embracing it. So,
Practicing acceptance is the best way to get through this.
Yeah.
You're not going to change it by screaming and getting angry.
So Dr. Lansima, I want to give you a moment to just share any final thoughts that you have for us, and let people know if they reach out to you and where they can find you.
Yeah. So first, I want to comment on the women are disgusting. I don't think that. I'd argue that men are even more disgusting. And I remember I did a very nice study at one point where over time, mentally, I would just keep track while you're precisely at the toilet and you listen, how many men don't wash their hands. And I had come up with a rough calculation that it was only 2 out of 10 that were actually washing their hands.
Whoa.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Those are bad numbers.
Yeah. Pretty bad. Hopefully now that's going to change. So I think it's,
Got it.
yeah.
Got it.
No,
I was
Might go
definitely
up
Don't want any dirty COVID bugs on my junk.
I know. I'm so paranoid. Other than that, I mean, to me, it's, I guess the message here is, don't trust the YouTube scientists, right? You have to trust the experts, listen to their advice. And vaccines are only going to work really on the long term if we have enough of the population that gets vaccinated. So if we want to go back to a semblance of normalcy, I don't think we'll ever go back to what we were before completely, but at least if we want to be as close as possible, then we really need to get those numbers of vaccines up. It's basically our only way out, in my opinion.
Listen, we just want to get back to opening the border. We just want you guys to open the border again and let us in.
We're trying to visit Rob B.
We're trying to visit Rob and Joz'Eh.
Yeah, and same thing. I can't wait. Last year we had to cancel our visit to Arizona to go visit our really good friends over there. So, we're hoping for the same It'd be nice if we're so close and so closely tied together that it's kind of very odd that we can't go and visit, right? So
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, Dr. Alain Simard, and
Thank
we
you.
will
Thank
definitely
you
try to
so
get
much,
you back
Alain.
Very
sometime
informative.
soon.
Very
all
informative.
right, sounds good.
All right. Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
So that was an amazing discussion, right?
That was very
That
informative.
was awesome.
Yeah.
So
Thank
good
you,
guess,
Rob,
Robbie. Good
for
job.
bringing.
No, that's all Alain. It's I work at the med school with him, and it was just like, hey, I know an immunologist. Let's see if he wants to share his thoughts.
He's a fun immunologist too, right? He's not.
Yeah, he's very
He's one
fun.
of those fun
Scientist.
academics who has retained his sense of humanity, who is still grounded and one of the people, because we all know those brilliant academics who are operating on a completely different level. Oh no, you're still
Yeah.
talking to us.
Like
Please,
me,
we're
he's
still
talking-
okay.
But you know what I wanted to
Yeah.
ask him very quickly, because he has
I can bring him back. He's still on.
educational resume. And I just want to, like, how long were you in school, bruh? Like,
All right, hold
how
on.
many years were you in
I
He didn't drop
know.
off. I'm bringing him right back in. He didn't drop off.
Question? Like, your resume is impeccable. How long were you in school? How many years of school?
All right, so I'll have to say like that. The resume. A lot of those credentials were kind of, you could bunch them up together into one. But how long was I in school? Well, basically, I graduated from my PhD. I was 29, right? So, and I had a pretty quick PhD, just a 3-year PhD in my case. So basically, did my 4 years of undergrad, 2 years of master's, and then 3 years of PhD. And then after that, 5 years of postdoc studies before I could get an actual job.
That's 14 right there. My goodness.
Yeah, it's a lot,
But
It's a lot.
but it was worth
A lot of
so, again, we appreciate your comment.
good.
I won't bring you back.
Thank you, Alain.
You don't have to be ready on the
I'll
fly.
stick around, watch the rest of the show because I'm
Okay.
interested. So.
Cool. Maybe if I can.
Awesome.
I'll see if I can. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, what an awesome clip. It was so great to watch that again. And 14 years of schooling alone, let alone his professional career and the rest of the research. This is someone who might actually know what they're talking about and a good source. Maybe people should be evaluating their sources a little bit better. COVID Chronicles has just been a wonderful segment throughout the show. And to have the caliber of guests that we've had, survivors, one of the long COVID survivors that was mentioned in this segment was Lauren Novak, who shed a lot of light on long COVID. Yep.
Yeah. I have to say, because usually when there's a guest that comes on, I don't really listen, right? I hear, but I don't really listen. And there's a lot of aha moments that I just had with Alain. First and foremost, when you have a French name and you're not in Northern, Canada, if you will, alien, yes, I had to laugh at that because when I lived in Southern Ontario, my name is Joz'Eh, Josee. I've been called Juicy. I've been called Joz'Eh. I don't know. Some of the stuff, it's just like, anyways, I had to chuckle with that, with Alain in regards to that. And it really hits home because, like Neo said in the message thread right now, thread, not tread, thread right now, saying that he was talking about the Delta variant, and that was just coming out at that time for that show.
Absolutely. And since then, the Mu variant out of Africa has developed. And we just thought it was very timely to share this interview once again with what's happening in Florida, Texas, Alabama, Western Canada. Just politicians who are fighting mask mandates. And as a result, their constituents are dying. They're running out of room to place bodies in some of these areas. It's absolutely scary that people have still held on to the political message rather than the message from the medical experts.
don't know if it's a political message, but it's all about them. It's all about me, right? It's the ego, right? I'm not going to wear a mask because I've been told to do so. Can we just put it out there once and for all? When you're wearing a mask, it's not to protect yourself. It's to protect others. It's a common courtesy because whether or not you know, you spit when you talk and it projects. So if I have the virus, I'm keeping it to myself as much as possible. I'm not sure what's really hard to understand about that, but it seems to be a huge lacking in society right now. It's not to protect myself, it's to protect you because I have respect for you. But anyways, RoB'b'RoK, how would you like to go through some of the comments online?
I will just read a few of them.
Awesome.
From Jacqueline Robinson. New variants plus willful ignorance and selfishness of some of our fellow Americans, not only Americans, Jackie, plus opportunistic politicians equals the disasters we are seeing now. Absolutely. From Ephraim, we've got maybe the U.S., maybe add to the U.S. Constitution that direct or require people to do in order to safeguard the survival of the nation. And 100%, it's we need to protect the good of the whole. And if we eradicate it in North America, then we need to concentrate on the rest of the world, because if we do eradicate it in Canada and the rest of the world has it, then it's just a matter of time before it comes back. So this is an international effort.
Yeah. And I would be really, really interested to find out now the numbers, as in how many COVID deaths for people that have been vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. I get that this was done very rapidly. Let's not be fools and think that we just came out with a vaccine just like that, okay? We've been studying this virus for a very long time. Also, yes, vaccines take time. However, we're not back 100 years where there was maybe one or two specialists across the world that can create these vaccines. The technology that we have, the people that we have around the world now, yes, it was created fast.
It was an international effort using the highest tech available, and a lot of other medical research was abandoned as a result of the COVID research. So hats off to all of the research teams that are out there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right. So up next, we have been joined by many wonderful guests during season 2. And this next compilation is one of our favorite questions for each and every guest who appears on the show.
What can we Google about you? Jo tells us what she likes about this segment. I don't think I was supposed to repeat that.
That is absolutely a stage direction.
Roll clip.
Can you just tell us something, anything, that people can't Google about you?
That people cannot Google about me. Okay, this is a fun fact, I guess, funny fact, so don't repeat it anywhere. My first sport was actually gymnastics.
Oh, wow.
And so until I came, I'm 5'9" now, so got too tall for the event and used to compete, and they had to pull the mats out from underneath the events because my toes would hit the ground. I was so big. And being a gymnast, I also love to dance. And so I call myself a semi-professional dancer, and Liz might know of Black Gold, but I was on the Black Gold team at CU for a year.
Well, what's Black Gold? What's Black Gold, Liz?
It was a dance crew, I guess.
Dance crew? Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Later on in life, I was at a event. I'll say it. I was at a bar with some friends. And we had a little dance contest of sorts, and the young girls were up there dancing, trying to win $100 prize. And it was wintertime, so I had long pants on and a turtleneck. And I was just kind of floored at, the level of dance ability up there. So I decided to jump up there with my jeans on, turtleneck, and I won the $100.
Wow! You had to let them know. You had to let them know.
I had to let them know.
All right.
So I'll find that on Google.
So feel free to go in a little more detail about yourself. Please add one thing in there that people can't Google about you.
Yeah, so I was whole life in California, as you said, and then I moved to Iowa because of my first job in TV reporting, and then I spent 2 years there. and I've been in Madison, Wisconsin for the past 3 years doing the same thing. I love what I do. One thing that you can't Google about me is I am allergic to garlic, which is in every
Allergic.
So yeah, so I mean, I'm not like deathly allergic, but like I'll basically just like break out in hives. So I do eat it sometimes just because it's so hard to avoid. But usually, if I just take like a over the
All right, sorry about that, folks. Some small technical issues in the production booth. But yeah, the What Can't We Google segments are so much fun. It gives us a real candid look at our guests, and it gives us really who is that person behind the curtain who's pulling the strings.
He was just
Can you just
still
tell us
trying.
something, anything?
Oh, there we go.
People can't Google.
to avoid. But usually, if I just take like a over the counter Claritin or an allergy pill or something, it'll usually subdue all of the.
Wow, garlic, that's tough. It really, literally, is the flavor of almost everything.
Everything. I over garlic everything.
I do. I love garlic.
So when I knew that question was going to come, I Googled myself because I'm like, can you Google me?
That's funny. I don't think anyone's ever done that.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, there's a couple things there. And so the thing that you wouldn't find about me is that I'm a huge fan of Celine Dion. And people kind of laugh at it. Like, you don't see me in person. I'm a pretty big dude. So when I say that, people are like, oh, really? And a little bit of, funnier thing about that is when I met my wife, I think on like our second or third date, we went out, we're dancing, a couple drinks, and like Biggie Smalls comes on, and I knew like all the words. She's like, oh, I love that you know all that. But then later, I'm like, oh, hey, Celine Dion's coming to town. Can we go to the concert? She's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then when we're there at the concert,
Nice
we're
segue.
kind of close to this.
Oh, Celine Dion.
So Joe, you've known Shane for a while.
Yes, that's back from my waste management days. Shane was more into route manager, district manager for the routes for the garbage trucks, if you will, and the recycling, organics. And he's so right when he says he is a big dude. Like, he is a huge dude. He is very intimidating. He's got a very deep voice. And when I watched this show and I saw him say Celine Dion, I was just waiting for him to break into a smile. And I'm like, waiting. And it never came. It just never came. And then saying that, with his wife, that they went to go see Celine Dion in concert. I just think it's amazing. Do you ever truly know someone?
Right? What can't we Google about that?
So I think that's an amazing question whenever we do that with our guests. And our guests usually love that question too, right?
They're usually entertained by it.
Yeah.
They're usually I know that I'm always entertained.
How can you not be? So anywho, I have to say, one of our favorite monthly segments is Movie Time with Micah Payne of B on B Cinema, Black on Black Cinema, where we discuss and we review new releases. Stay tuned. He'll be back in season 3. And
yeah. Well, I've had the pleasure of being on his other podcast, The Nerdpocalypse, episodes 460 and 479. Check them out. While Lizzie Enders actually recently joined Micah and his crew just the other week for an episode of Black on Black Cinema. So make sure you check that out on YouTube also. Now, in late May, Micah joined us and we discussed the movie Stowaway. I've got the giggles already, and it's not a comedy. So after some heated debate about what each host would personally do in that situation, everyone got the giggles. And this was probably one of our funniest moments with Micah.
all right, roll clip.
Please spread y'all. I'm sorry. I'm discombobulated because y'all are wild. Like, I love it. It's like this half of the screen is just like, nope, let them go. This one is just like, well, maybe give them a chance. And I can see both sides. But ultimately, I'm kind of going this way.
Boo, boo. Mike.
Good heart, Neo.
There's always room for one more on Team Wanna Live.
Team want to live. Team want everyone to live. This is team everyone lives. This is team everybody lives.
Touch on it, but it didn't go as far as I think it should with the question of there's a stowaway here and there's not enough resources for 4 people on this 3-person mission. What's going to happen?
It was an easy answer for me. I don't know about the rest of you.
Exactly.
Answer for me about what we gonna do with it. But
One thing I'm gonna just so knowing a little bit about NASA, I'm gonna just jump in here real quick. So knowing a little bit about NASA puts in a significant number of contingencies that I don't believe are taken into account in movies. I don't believe they're taken into account in movies. There's
at all.
we're talking about one CO2 unit goes out, and all of a sudden it's just okay. The mission's over. That's not how NASA does things. I will tell you.
It was like a dream come true. Isn't accurate, really, because you always see, you take classes and they talk about these things of these great legends, but to be witnessing it firsthand and take those tidbits back and learn from it, I can't explain. It's phenomenal. It's just a phenomenal experience.
So you feel like you learned a ton from them, I'm assuming.
Oh yes.
What were you able to take specifically? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, when I say that they were so detailed on their character development, and like when we were talking on set, just chopping it up on scenes. So we for instance, a scene with me and Don Cheeto, Benicio is on the sidelines, and then he kind of introduces a little bit and says, "Hey, I think this kind of can go this way for your character." And I'm like, "Wow, I'm just taking that because I'm like he's diving into my character."
Wow.
For me, not a bit of a lane, and I'm like, to see that level of dedication to the script was unseen before for myself.
So I sparsed in that last one because we had also done a review of No Sudden Move with Don Cheadle, Benicio del Toro, and up-and-coming actor Javon Anderson. And we just reached out to Javon, and within a week or two,
it was really, really fast because I tweeted about the segment and I hashtag No Sudden Move, which is an amazing movie. Watch it. Amazing, amazing actors, honestly. And Javon Anderson responded, and then doing research, we see, okay, he's part of this movie. So we hooked him on and had him on the show. Very sad. I missed that show, but so happy that he was on. And still till today, I'm still sharing all of his content because I see so much potential for this kid. Like it's just, he's awesome.
Wonderful, wonderful energy.
Yeah.
All right. So the name of the show is Truth Lies Shenanigans. We often get into shenanigans and silliness on our own, as our regular audience absolutely knows. So it gives us an opportunity to truly bond during these segments. I've had some great laughs with Neo, Liz, Johnny, Joz'Eh when she's been on the show too.
Awesome. It's really, it's not just a crew, it's a family. So here's another short clip of the TLS crew being, the TLS crew / family. Roll clip.
Truth or lie? And it's really, really simple. I'll ask each of you a question, and you'll tell me if you think it's a truth or a lie. I'm starting with this one because your own hasn't seen it yet, Lizzie. The blue whale is the longest animal in the world. Is this a truth or a lie?
Truth.
False.
What?
I believe it's a snake. I believe it's a snake. The longest animal in the world. I believe it's a certain snake. Like
it's a giraffe.
Or something.
No, God, sorry.
But no, that is incorrect, Lindsay. I forgot my.
Close.
I don't think about Space Jam. That was.
It's been purged.
All right, Lizzie is officially out. All right, Rob B. Name 3 things in your pencil case. starting now.
Pen, pencil,
Blah, 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 blah.
pencil leads, eraser, calculator, ruler.
Holy wow.
All right.
I feel like
Nailed
Rob
it.
gets
Oh,
20
No, you
seconds.
just
Thank you, Johnny. Say
No
it
way.
loud. Say it loud, Johnny.
I mean, you guys are like,
My ums are
I'm trying to
answered.
think.
My friend Melanie
That's
just texted
it,
me. She's
yeah.
like, I can't believe you didn't say Harry Potter.
Harry. See, that's yeah. I love Harry. I love me some Harry Potter.
Yeah, I should have said Harry Potter. Should have said Harry Potter.
Star Wars, Star Trek,
Yeah, Star
Alien,
Wars,
Yeah,
Predator.
because Jacqueline Robinson's like Star Wars, Die Hard, Lord of the Rings. Shoot. Okay, let me just show you this video of Trump lawyer and former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani.
Yo, I can't believe this shit. Check it out. So let's ignore the fact that nobody's wearing masks because you know that shit's imaginary. yo, watch my man's over here. Yo, takes out the handkerchief, blowing his nose, takes it booger side in, smears his hands all over it,
Like a candy.
wipes it into his lips, all over his face. Son, he's.
I can't even watch. I'm going to gag.
All right, guys.
Oh my god, the game shows, the quick fires are always so much fun. I really appreciate the wit and the insight that each and every person brings to the show. But oh my god, it just makes for so many great laughs.
It's awesome. Honestly, everyone has their own personality, their own quirks, and it works, and it's awesome, and it's funny.
Absolutely.
My opinion.
It might be biased. All right, folks. Well, it's already been an hour, which is amazing. And yeah, I know, it's crazy,
What?
right?
Come on.
So this is our final game show of season 2. So we thought we would go with the Shit Happens edition. So this is based off of, or is the card game. Shit Happens. So each card represents a truly undesirable event, and each one is ranked. So we're going to take turns drawing 2 cards, and we'll then have to order them correctly from best to worst. And when I say best, that is questionable. So Joz'Eh has handed me 2 cards that she just drew. Well, this is just the sample round. So Joe, trapped in a cab with a coked out driver, or cocktails with Bill Cosby. And then I'll be showing you the ranking.
Oh, I'll take the coked out ride cab any day.
Yeah, well, that's wrong, but it's okay. This was just the
What
first
people
round.
would rather have drinks with the Cosby?
I might know one person who would have drinks with the cause, but no.
Can't even.
So yeah, pick your cards and hand them over.
All right, there you go.
Excellent. All right. Pee stain on pants, or watch a porn video of your parents. Away
Oh,
from the
pee
camera.
stain on pants any day of the week.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah, by like the 50th percentile. That's, everybody else is with you on that one.
Oh my gosh. Ew.
All right.
All right. Awesome. RoB'b'RoK. Ugh. Phone rings at a funeral, or pass a kidney stone. Stay right there as I share this. Oh, our audience.
I would prefer having my phone go off at a funeral than pass a kidney stone.
Oh, totally.
Yay!
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that's tied at 1 apiece.
1-1.
Hand me some cards. Hand me some cards.
All right.
All right. Oh. Have a 6-hour flight seated behind a crying baby, or the roller coaster stalls, you dangle upside down for 2 hours. Look away. Look away.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't even looking. I'll take the crying baby for 6 hours. Rob?
Yeah, well, you have a fear of roller coasters to begin with.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Earbuds. Does the
Mm.
trick. Does the trick. All righty. Ew. All right, which one? Tapeworm or internet connection goes out?
Okay, so the audience.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Yes, I thought it was like we don't even have to talk about it.
Let's see, if my internet connection goes out, then I can't research the tapeworm. But I will go with internet going out over
Yeah.
tapeworm.
Yeah,
Woo,
absolutely.
404.
I've not met anyone yet that wants tapeworm.
So that still leaves us tied.
I know.
Oh, wow.
I know. This one's it. I know it. All right,
All
read
right.
it to me, baby.
I'm reading to you. Ooh. Buy a house and find out it's haunted, or have an ingrown toenail.
I'll take the ingrown toenail.
And apparently, most people would take the ingrown toenail with you.
Well, I would hope so. You
All
get
right.
that shit fixed. I mean, a haunted house, you need an old priest and a young priest. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right. Is mine yours? You need to pick for me.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, you need to pick.
I do need to pick for you. Yes, this is round 3. And
Breaking into sweat just by
Wow.
reading these, I'm saying.
I know.
Okay. Cruise ship breaks down. Wet dream about dad.
wow. Well, the wet dream about dad is disturbing, but it's not life-threatening, so I'm going to have to go with that one over the cruise ship.
Most people sided with you.
Woo!
Most people sided with you. I mean, we're pretty awesome.
That's 3 rounds, and we're still tied.
I know.
Let's go another.
Okay, let's do it. All right. You know what? I'm going to pick from this pile and this pile. All right. Shock me, baby.
Ooh, all right.
I love it.
So you are added to the no-fly list, or have sex with the oldest person you know.
Oh, I'll go on the no-fly list.
Oh. Apparently, old people sex is
not for me.
Is more acceptable than being on the no-fly list for most people. This is shit happens.
I've been to Greece. I'm good.
Shit happens. All right.
Yeah,
so this is for the win.
This is for the win, baby. All right. Step in dog shit. Your worst clown nightmare comes true.
Oh.
I mean, if someone is afraid of clowns, and I know quite a few.
Coulrophobia. I'm going to step in the dog shit rather than have Pennywise come after me.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was
Shocking.
a nice split.
Dog shit for the win.
All right. So thank you so much, everyone. That is officially all the time that we have for today's show.
Hang on. Before we go, we need to announce the Pet Shenanigans winner, which is Leanna Jones and her puppers, her coworker. Such a cutie. He's lying on the floor under her chair while she's working.
I think a lot of people have been experiencing that with their pets while working from home.
Oh, absolutely. I love it.
That's really cute.
I think it's just adorable, right? Like even the sound effects go with it. So don't forget to go to our TLS Pet Shenanigans page on Facebook to see all of our past submissions. You can not lie, but like and comment on your new favorites. Please join, even if you don't have pets, and any and all pets are welcome. Birds, lizards, fish. And we announce the winner every Sunday on the TLS live show.
Right on. All right, so let's move on to some shout outs.
Awesome. All right.
Shout out, go.
Should I shout it out?
No.
But shut up. Okay. So it's back to school for us over here in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. Tuesday, Monday is holiday Labor Day. Tuesday is back to school. So I want to say bonne rentrée to Ryan and Isla, my two nieces. And I want to say good luck and have fun to our granddaughter, Bella. Grandmama, grandpapa are wishing you so much luck and have fun. Kick some ass, Seabass.
I would like to give a shout out to Our audience, thank you so much for being a part of our family and tuning in. I would love to give a shout out to Neo, Liz E, Johnny, Olivia, Joz'Eh, and we've added more members to the team. So you please tune in over the next couple of weeks. You will get introduced to them. I guess they'll probably end up going in the hot seat, just like everybody else did.
Oh, they're going to need to. There's no two ways about it. I mean, if I had to do it a few times, mind you, they're in it.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So we would like to thank all of you for joining us, and we hope that maybe you learned something, gained a new perspective, or even got something off your chest. And this brings our short break to an end as season 3 returns on Sunday, September 12th, next week at 4 p.m. With your favorite hosts, Neo Nix, Johnny Storm, Lizzie Enders, and me.
How is it September 12th already?
Right.
Enough.
And don't forget, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. for Unscripted with Johnny Storm and Olivia E. So don't miss a second of it.
All right. So we have our social medias for like, follow, subscribe, and share. Check out our YouTube for clips. We are on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, obviously. I know I'm missing a few.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We're like that bad cult, right? Like we're everywhere. Yeah, we're everywhere. That's it. We're like a bad rash.
Oh, gross. It looks like our winner for today is this guy. So, final thought for today. If you don't have your vaccine, please get your vaccine. If you have an issue wearing a mask, please get over yourself, wear a mask, and just honestly, be good to one another. Be good to one another. Again, a special thank you to all of our guests who joined us during season 2. A special thank you to Neo, Johnny, and Lizzie, and all of our people behind the scenes. And most importantly, thank you.
Thank you,
our audience,
to all of you for joining us.
Thank you so much. And we will see you next time.
Shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans, truth, lies.